It's the Big Exclusive Podcast. I'm your host, Big Exclusive, and I want to say thank you. I appreciate you guys locking in. Right now, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and if you're listening to the audio, which comes up the next day, make sure you guys hit the like and the subscribe and like the Facebook page. Do all of that stuff. Show some love. Help the algorithm get me into the searches more so more people can see this, because this content tonight you do not want to miss. This is the happy hour episode of the Big Exclusive Podcast, and I'm super excited to have two special guests. But before we get into that, y'all know I gotta thank the people who make this podcast possible. Like, without them, I could not do this, and I'm forever grateful for my sponsors. And I'm going to start at the top in a narcissistic way. There's going to be a lot of narcissism on this podcast tonight because I am feeling myself like I lost my lighter, and I'm happy. I'm excited. So if you see me feeling myself, you know, if you know me personally, you know I'm not that type. It's just one of those shows. It's the happy hour, and I feel good, and it's going to be a good night on the podcast tonight. But the people who make this podcast possible, shout out to my guy, Michael Felder, owner, operator of Shred Fit Apparel. Make sure you guys head over to shredfitapparel.com for your athletic wear. And just as a side note, he just came out with some boxer briefs that are incredible. They feel good. They're breathable. They don't get loose and dangly. Like, they don't lose that elasticity like some of these boxer briefs do. So if you want some good underwear, make sure you go holler at Shred Fit Apparel. I got to give a shout out to Shea Harmony, bringing harmony to your skin. It's the winter time, and if you're looking a little ashy and your skin is looking a little cracked, you got that gator going on, head over to iCraftMart.com, get you some Shea Harmony Whip Body Butter. You can also, while you're there, pick up my Big Exclusive Shea Butter Lotion. It comes in 3 very distinct scents that all smell wonderful if you ask me. I have to thank Classic Apparel, my guy Fats or Demetrius. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful clothes, wonderful hoodies. The stuff is made to order. It's custom. So make sure y'all go holler at Fats over at Classic Apparel. I got to give a shout out to my girl, Rima Thomas, and all these people that I'm naming, all these companies that I'm talking about, they all are Black owned. And it's that time of the year where you should be shopping small all year, but it's super important for the small businesses to end the fiscal year very, very strong. So please help support your community where you live and shop small. So my girl, Inhale and Heal Wellness Company, that's Rima Thomas. She has those very healing essential oil diffusers that's all natural, 100% pure, and she only uses bamboo sticks. So make sure you go holler at Rima and her Inhale and Heal Wellness Company. You got to make sure you get over it and spend some money with my folks over at SCB Naturals. She has the 100% organic and vegan soaps, lotions, room fresheners. She has all the organic and vegan pet products. And she just came out with a brand new line of organic teas. And when I tell you these teas are delicious, it's the wintertime. It has those flavors. Like, she has this chai that I was fortunate enough, because she's a sponsor to the show, that I got to go over to her warehouse, check out the tea, get a behind-the-scenes taste before it was ever released to the public. And I'm telling you, it's a very, very delicious tea. It's very warming. It has those fall flavors that you're used to or that you're looking for. So holla at SCB Naturals, get some tea. Last but certainly not least, I have to give a shout out and a super huge thank you to our friends over at Big Exclusive Wine. That's the narcissism kicking in again. That's my wine. That's my wine company. And here's the thing. Unfortunately, it's sold out. And that's not unfortunate. That's a great thing. It means that people are responding really well to the wine. I felt like, I did a good job, but only the people can determine that. And the people have spoken. They love the wine. The Concord, the peach, the mango, and the strawberry watermelon, which was a new flavor that was introduced on October 4th. As a matter of fact, everything was released on October 4th, and I'm currently sold out. But here's the good news. I always keep what we call a private reserve, right? So what that means is that I took, some off the top. You know what I mean? I skimmed some off the top. I could do that. It's my company. So what? I skimmed some off the top because I wanted to make sure that I'm able to do a couple different things. And one is I wanted to make sure that the people who didn't have the opportunity to try it had an opportunity to try it. I wanted to use it for promo purposes here on the podcast because I want to give some wine away tonight. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it, but guess what? Y'all know how I am. I'm into giving away some free stuff. Again, it's the reason behind everything that I do, but Big Exclusive Wine, I do have, some peach. I hope that comes in clear. Tilt this out clear. I have some mango. I have some, look, Camilla is salivating like, you didn't tell me you had, and look at that strawberry watermelon, that brand new flavor. It was hidden for a long time, and I did a contest. Whoever could guess the flavor would win a free bottle, and I cheated for some people because the night before the release, I went live, and those who tuned into the live actually won an opportunity to get a free bottle. So you have to stick around. You have to tune into the live. There's my guy. If you guys aren't sure why my wine looks so good, and you know what I mean, the images that you see out there, I have two incredible people to thank for that. Number one, she's not even a photographer, is Lakeisha over at SCB Naturals, but the professional that's been nothing but supportive. When I say supportive, I mean supportive in a way that he truly believes in what I'm doing over here at Big Exclusive Wine, him and his wife. And they've together afforded me so many new opportunities that I'm just flabbergasted, blown away. So I appreciate Darnell Barnes over at DSQ Photography. He is the husband of the beautiful young lady we have on the show tonight, Camilla Barnes, Miss Kitty on top. Without further ado, let's bring in the guests because I'm super dope. They super dope. I'm super excited. I do have another surprise going on tonight as well. So something brand new that's never happened on the Big Exclusive podcast is going to happen this evening because it's happy hour. And again, it's not about me all the time. It's about elevating everybody around me, everybody that support me. And I have a brand new segment coming on tonight. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but when I'm ready to get into it around the 7:00 hour, I'm going to introduce that segment, something brand new for the Big Exclusive podcast. But without further ado, I want to introduce my two special guests tonight. Ladies always first. In my book, my mama gave me manners. she taught me right. But
yes, she did.
The young lady that I'm speaking about, I'm always confused as to what to call her, and I call her Kitty on Top, bartender service, because that's her business. That's what she does. She is like the superstar tender for everybody in and around the tri-state area. It's no job too big or too small. She is professional. She can make every drink in the book, and she has come up with with my very own cocktail, the Big Exclusive cocktail I present to you, ladies. And yes, look, and you can see it right there. I hope you guys not missing this live, but it's right there on the screen right now. It looks so pretty. And this is breaking news for me, because I don't even know what's in it, and she's going to make it live on air tonight, and I'm going to find out what's in it, but I'm feeling myself. Y'all see me? I'm touching myself. Like, maybe if you just got the audio, you don't see.
It's good, too.
It is? All right. Miss Camilla Kitty on Top Barnes, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, everyone.
So, my next guest, what can I say about this brother? You know, we just recently become acquainted, but already it's just been an unprecedented amount of love. I reached out to him. I saw that he had a page. It's called A Taste of the Culture. Be sure to follow that on Instagram. Head over to his website, atasteoftheculture.com. But what he does is he scours everywhere. He looks high and he looks low. And he finds companies like mine, Big Exclusive Wines, that are black owned, and he puts the spotlight on them. And that's incredible because I haven't seen anybody doing that yet. Kitty does it and she had me a part of the Black Dessert and Wine Expo, or Food and Dessert Expo. But this guy does it on a different level. He brings the media and the masses to these Black-owned companies. I'm very fortunate that he permitted me to have my wine placed on his website. And I'm sorry, not the website, on his Instagram page. And I got so many people who follow and show love because he did that. So I'm going to forever be grateful and indebted to this man, Mr. Sean McLeod. How are you tonight?
Evening, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get into it. First things first. I'm going to take me a little sip. I got my little Concord wine here.
Yes, I got mine
It's
too.
happy hour.
I should get a wine glass.
It's happy hour. Ladies
Yes.
first. What are you drinking on?
So this is your big exclusive winter cocktail.
Ooh,
So
world
you have-
premiere. World premiere.
Yes, which I'll be making later on, but it is your almost gone Concord wine. We have some more downstairs, but
Okay,
we can
great.
finish this off. We also have gin with it. This is a Philly brand gin. I did fresh lime juice, fresh basil, and fresh rosemary, and then just put a little cranberry in there for the razzle dazzle.
For the little
That's a great garnish.
Now,
Yeah.
that sounds like a steak. That's the steak of all
It's so
cocktails right
refreshing.
there.
It tastes like winter. So you'll
Oh my
enjoy it.
God.
I'll send the ingredients over to you too.
Yes, I can't wait to try
That's
that.
great. I got to
You-
try that. Yeah.
You
Yes.
just heard it here first. The big exclusive winter cocktail, which means we'll have a summer cocktail coming soon
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Totally right.
Sean, what are you drinking on?
I'm drinking on Antio Reposado. It's a Black-owned tequila brand. This Reposado is actually fairly new. They've only had it out for a little while now, but really, really good stuff. Like you mentioned, I've been searching high and low to find these brands, but this brand has been doing very well this year. And I have the privilege of being able to get my hands on this. I live in Philly, so I recognize the blue coat, and it's not easy to get some of these
Hey,
brands out here. So I was happy to be able to get my hands on that. Really, really good tequila. It's a good sipper. It's good in cocktails.
all right. So now that we know what everybody's drinking on, we got to do some background first. You know what I mean? We got to figure out, Kitty on top, we'll start with you. How did you get into bartending?
Well, ironically enough, it was something that I've always wanted to do since I was fairly little. I remember when I was 12 at the dinner table, my parents were like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to be a bartender." Now, they were totally against that. They're like, "No, college, college, college," which I still went, but I've always just like the positive reactions of spirits. Like I would see adults interacting with each other, celebrating over spirits. I'm like, wow, like I want to be able to give that to people. Like when you have your first home, you're celebrating with drinks. If you're having a baby shower, if you're having a wedding, I just always love to see people feel good. I also I was fascinated by older bartenders and their presentation of drinks. I wanted to always make beautiful drinks that taste good, of course. But I kind of scaled back from that. I came back into it in 2013 when I was in between jobs. I decided to go to mainline bartending and did that for a week. And then after that, took a couple of mixology courses, pairing courses, tried to do the bar scene. A lot of bars and restaurants, they're like, "Hey, you need experience." I'm like, "Well, I just got out of bartending school. Like, I don't have that much experience." So with that, became a little discouraged because I couldn't get any jobs in the bartending or hospitality field. Then my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he's like, "Why don't you do it on your own?" I'm like, "That's crazy. I've never heard anybody wanting a bartender for events." So my aunt, she introduced me to one of her nurses friends, and she had a wedding reception for her niece. And she's like, "It's going to be 250 people. Can you handle it?" That was also in 2014. And since then, with those people, it came referrals, and then the jobs just kept coming on up until now.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Shout out to your husband
I know. Yeah.
for the alley-oop.
Yes.
Sean, what started you on this journey that you're on to shed light on African American spirit and wine makers here in the country?
Thanks for asking. Great story, by the way. The bartending story. I kind of have always had an affinity for this business as well. But my journey for this, from our taste of the culture, didn't start till this year. I'll be honest. I actually have worked in the spirits business since 2013 on the marketing side. So for different brands, I won't get into it now, but there are a lot of big brands, and I've worked, in bars. I've worked on events. I've done kind of a little bit of everything. And this year, when everything was going on with social injustice and protests and things like that, people really did a good job of trying to turn it into a positive, right? Where they started highlighting Black-owned businesses, and I started to discover things I'd never heard of. I always knew of some Black-owned brands, but never that there were so many. And now I have a list of over 100 spirits and wine and mixers and things like that. And I was like, man, like, what can I do to help these brands get out there? And that's kind of where it built from. I started doing the video reviews and reviewing the brands. I started that over the summer just to kind of see if people were curious. And the reception was really great, and I've been taking it to the next level. Now I launched a membership community and a subscription box. So what we do now is through the website, you can sign up to be a member, and when you subscribe, every month you get a different wine or spirit shipped to your house. We're starting out with a certain amount of states now, but the idea is, one day we're available everywhere, and it really gives people an opportunity to try stuff like Antio, to try stuff like BigExclusive wine, for people who might not have had a chance to do it before. So it's very recent, but I'm kind of using my experience in the business and some skills I have to kind of, do what I can, because everybody's doing pretty good as far as spirits and wine goes. I mean, we're doing happy hour right now, and people always want to try something good, and it's like, hey, it's about time for us to circulate that money amongst ourselves, and not with those big giant brands that we've been doing for years.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. And I'm going to give you an idea of the kind of community you're building right now, which I'm grateful, to be a part of, as early on. Stephen Charles, name sound familiar?
Yeah.
Stephen Charles, after posting the Big Exclusive wines, and then I guess posting that you was going to be on the podcast, because he does a podcast too. He's out of Montreal, and he has LS Cream.
Yep.
And I'm like, yo, he immediately shot me a message and like, hey, I love what you're doing. This is what I'm doing. We can collaborate, but I wanted to make the introduction. Your stuff looks great. You know what I mean? Let's talk. Let's collaborate. And that's just not something us as a community normally does. And I think you bridging that gap and making the introductions and making it all right so far for us to do that type of thing, I think is extremely important and imperative for everybody to kind of continue to level up and succeed. So again, I want to thank you for doing that. Before I continue, Kitty, let's come back to you right quick, right? So I heard the story about what brought you to the mobile side of the bartending, but now because of the state of where we are right now with what's going on in the world, how has that affected your business with, COVID and everything else going on?
Well, now it's mostly smaller events or virtual events, which is probably the safest. But, I have events here and there for sure. They don't max out at 25 guests, and we all try to stay as safe as possible.
So speaking of that virtual thing, because again, like I said, I'm feeling myself tonight. It's happy hour, and I'm sipping. You know what I mean? Cheers to my guests. But that virtual thing, I want to do that. Explain what that is, because I'm going to book that before the night is out. And for most of the people who are listening to the podcast, or whoever wants to join us for that virtual thing, explain how that works. So when I book it and I tell people, who wants to come to the virtual thing, they know exactly what we're getting into.
Well, pretty much as a group of people, I try not to exceed maybe like 10 or 15 guests, but we all join a Zoom. Prior to that, maybe a week before, I provide you with a shopping list. so that you can have an idea of what you need if you don't have it at home. But I try to get as many things that you're able to, that's accessible to you. So it's us interacting and pretty much teaching you how to make the drink. We're definitely social, but keeping it 100% safe. And that started during the COVID time when I used to invite my girlfriends into Zooms and we used to do happy hours. So it's pretty much that, a couple hours. We learn about drinks, do a little bit of education, have fun.
I love that. So if you're tuned in right now, just know that I'm going to book that. And if you want to come join that virtual happy hour or cocktail party, just let me know and I'll add you to the list so that you're invited to the Zoom call. And for at least 5 of the people, everything on the shopping list, I'm going to buy for them. All right. So,
good deal.
So if you
know,
right? Wait, what was that?
That's I told you.
I told you. I was feeling myself like I lost my lighter. I got my own cocktail named after me. Okay, so I'm going to talk my. I'm gonna do my 1-2 tonight. I'm gonna do my 1-2 tonight. So if I'll figure out how people can win the opportunity for me to buy their shopping list and join us for that virtual call. But Sean, I want to come back to you. I for one didn't know that there were so many Black-owned spirit companies, right?
Neither did I. That's amazing and beautiful.
Yeah, and I need access to your list, actually. Just as a heads up. And Kitty is pouring the last of that big exclusive Concord wine as we speak.
Don't worry, we have some.
So with that being said, how do you see us doing in the market so far? Because I'm sure people probably send you stuff all the time, right? And I got to make sure I get you out of package at some point. But now knowing you're in the city, I'm going to pull up on you. Okay.
Let's do it.
But with that being said, how do you feel that these companies are doing based off what we've all been accustomed to traditionally, as far as like the bourbons and the whiskeys and the tequilas? Because a lot of people don't know, like, most spirits start out clear and are all the same. And what's distinctive about each spirit, and the reason they call something specifically one thing, like, it all boils down to the sugar that's being fermented, right? Right. So if you want tequila, you have to use 100% blue agave, right? And then even then, I don't think you can call it tequila because that's proprietary to the region.
It has to be from the certain region of Mexico.
Right. So with that being said, how do you think we're faring against the bigger, larger, more traditional companies that, you know, people are used to?
I think we're doing well. And I think what makes a difference now is the diversity of products, right? So it's not even just diversity, like our diversity, but the diversity of what people are doing. People are creating products that are different. I mean, even the wine you kind of, you know, talked about in the very beginning, like nobody's making anything like that. So I think that's kind of what the difference is people's creativity is coming out. Where, you know, like Antio, they do a tequila that's cucumber lime. It's like nobody's doing that. So like if you want to try that, you have to get it from them. And that's what a lot of brands are doing. Whether it's aged rum or it's aged tequila, or people are doing different vodka flavors. And not like, you know, remember vodka, you can get like certain brands that have like 50 flavors. But there's certain brands of vodkas out there that are Black owned that are doing flavors really good, where it's not a sugar bomb, it doesn't taste like candy, it actually tastes like a natural sweetness, whether it's a plum flavor or something like that. So I think that's the thing that's been good. I think, even, you know, shame on me for not knowing about these brands previously. Some of them have been around for a good amount of time, 3, 4, 5, some even up to 10 years. So they haven't been doing it just, you know, it hasn't been just yesterday that they started. So some of them are actually, you know, they have a lot of resources. They're doing, not a lot, but they have a certain amount of resources where they're able to put these things together really well. Whether it's the distillation, they're doing small batch distillation, which usually puts out a better product, right? When you're not mass producing, you're able to have consistency. And that's definitely a huge thing that is leads to success. A lot of these big brands all had to start somewhere. And that's, you know, what I'm seeing from a lot of our brands right now.
So I want to touch on what you said a little bit earlier about, well, 2 things you said. I'm going to start with the small batch. No, I'm gonna start with why I do the flavors that I do, right? So I've been making wine for a little over 3 years now. And I'll tell you a funny story. It started because I came across this. You guys go down that rabbit hole of YouTube some nights when you're just looking up stuff. And, one of the titles that came up was like, yo, make damn good wine with 3 ingredients. I'm like, nah, no way. But let me check it out. So
Why not?
Why not? Right. So I'm up late, which anybody who knows me knows that I get my best work done in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? My girls are quiet and I get to work.
I'm on the same page.
Yeah. So he took like a jug of juice. He poured out like a cup and a half. He poured back in a cup and a half of sugar, and he took some bread yeast, the little packet of yeast that you have, and then he screwed the top back on. He didn't screw it all the way down because it would explode because of the fermentation. And he said, look, I can't tell you when it's going to be done. It's done when it's done. I was like, well, how do you know it's done? He said, you'll know it's done because it'll be still on top. You won't see any bubbling and any fermentation going on, right? So fast forward, magic of YouTube, it's 2 weeks later, and he's like, all right, we're back and it's ready. And I'm like, what? It's ready? He's like, yeah, it's ready. So I'm looking, he grabs a glass, pours it in a glass, drinks it like, yeah, that's wine. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, and then he flipped out. He like, cause somebody, I guess commented on one of his last videos and was like, no, I'm not going to rack it. I'm not interested in doing all that stuff. I'm not going to filter. I'm not going to do none of that. It's ready now. It's juice. Now it's alcohol. I want the alcohol. This will get you good and drunk, and I'm going to drink it. So that piqued my interest. So I said, let me try this. I went out, got the jug of juice, did exactly what he did, followed it step by step. And 2 weeks later, sure enough, I poured the glass and was like, whoa, that's strong. I cannot believe. I said, well, shit, this cost me about less than $3 to make. So then as time went on, I would make it. But again, I don't want to get into the A to B process of making wine because I want to do a class later and it's just fun for me at this point now. But I got into, clearing and racking, filtering and polishing, because at that point, my family was trying it and was like, yo, this is incredible. So then I would just make 1 gallon batches and just holiday times, give it away to family, or just keep myself stocked up. So whenever I wanted wine, I could get drunk. But then family started to demand it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna need 2 bottles. I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean?
That's funny. That's
not the way this works. I make it, and when it's made, it is what it is, right? So I said, well, wait a minute. Maybe I can do this legit. So what I noticed when I started to do my research was that everyone was doing the estate grapes, your Pinot Noirs, your Chardonnays, your Rieslings, everybody, every major company, all the brand new companies, they all were doing the estate grapes, right? So for me, it was like, well, how do I carve out my own lane? And I'm like, take some of your favorite juices, use high quality organic fruit. Let's get that juice. Let's get that fermented, get it racked, clean, polished, stop the fermentation, bottle it, and see what happens. And my God, people are like, yo, I never seen that. I never thought that wine could be that flavor. And they were like, yo, I'm in. Give me 10 bottles. Give me this. Give me. Next thing you know, it's like, I cannot make enough. Now, to speak to what you were just talking about with this small batch, I know my limitations. Could I scale up? Of course, I could scale up. But I feel like I'm losing something at that point. And I'm okay with people. I'm not okay with people being mad at me because I'm sold out. But they understand that it's a certain scarcity to it. So when that next batch comes out, people jump on it and it sell out. And I'm okay with that at this level for now. But I understand that I am going to have to scale up so I can meet the demand. But for me, small batch is where it is because it allows me to tinker. It's some flavors that I've tried that never saw the light of day, right? So I knew fall was coming. So I know people like pumpkin spice everything. So I made a batch of what I thought was going to be pumpkin spice wine, but it was horrific. It tasted horrific. It never saw the light of day.
That happens. You're a chemist pretty much, so experiments.
Camilla, you're right. That's where I went wrong. I should have did sweet potato.
Come on, we like sweet potato.
But here's what I did realize, and after every failure, I take away a lesson, because my new project is mead. I'm doing mead now, right?
Okay.
And when that's ready and I'm satisfied with the way it's turned out, I'll make sure you guys get some, samples, some bottles.
Sure. Yeah.
But what I've learned is that when you start to add spices during a fermentation process, it intensifies those spices so much that you have to be extremely careful what you're adding. And you might want to add to the end and then do a certain, couple months of maybe racking so that it mellow out before you release it to the public. So that's the lesson. That's a little golden tip for anybody out there who's making wine currently and needed a tip. But for me, I love the process of making wine. I love the idea of taking very, very ripe organic fruit, getting it juiced down, testing the pH, checking the bricks or sugar content of it, and then choosing which strain of yeast will maximize the flavors of each batch. Because a lot of it is not about, ferment it and then give it out to the people. No, you have different strains of yeast that are capable of different alcohol levels, which most people don't know. Of course, you could use bread yeast, but that'll get you 7 to 8% alcohol, whereas the champagne yeast will get you anywhere from 13 to 14, 15%. And then you got distiller's yeast that'll get you about 20%. But, there's drawbacks, there's pros and cons to all of that. But that was just, I wanted to talk about that before we moved on, like kind of, because people ask me all the time, what kind of got you into the whole making wine thing? And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a major shout out to my a friend of mine. He's like my brother, Ahmed, over at Aerostar Marketing. He did the design for the bottle label, and it's fantastic. People love it. Like I had wine. Camilla will tell you, she had bought bottles. She's so down. She's been down for so long. She was buying bottles that didn't even have a label.
Yes.
Loyalty.
Like, so she OG support Big Exclusive Wine, like A1 day one. But I wasn't going to release the wine until I thought it met my standards. And it took, a little bit of time to get there, but I just wasn't going to put anything on it. I'd rather have nothing than to put anything on it. And the design that Ahmed did is an incredible design. And every time I look at it, like, I'm in awe of it myself. Like, I love it. Yes, there it is. There it is. But with that being said, let's move along. Sorry, I went on my diatribe, and you know what I mean? But,
it's all good. People know you know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, like, because some people, like, this is the response I get most of the time when, I tell people, see, as of lately, like, Camilla is like personal PR for me now. Like, she's like promoting and telling people, and they're like, oh, really? That's awesome. That's fantastic. And they believe her. Because, like, when I show up, she be like, yeah, he's the guy. This is the guy right here who made the wine. And they're like, oh, wow, that's great. But when I meet people and I say, yeah, I make it, they're like, nah, you ain't make that. They just look like, nah, you ain't do for real. They like, you didn't do it. And really, it's a painstaking process because I have to be patient, number one. But when it comes time to bottle, it's a specific process you got to use because oxygen is the enemy of wine. So you have to be able to get it in the bottle and get it corked. I don't have a machine. I don't have $1 million facility. So every single bottle, and I just did probably close to 200 this last batch, I hand filled and corked one by one. Wow. I mean, even before that, you have to sanitize and sterilize inside and outside of every single bottle. All of that is done by me by hand. Fill every single, cork every single, then heat shrink the cap on there. The bottles don't come with this on there. You couldn't get it in. I got to heat shrink the caps on there, and then I have to hand put on every single label. Can you imagine the frustration I feel when I put a label on and it's a wrinkle in it? I just be wanting to kick the whole operation over like, It's a pain in the ass because you can't just peel it back off. You leave stuff behind. So now you got to get some hot water, or you got to get the steamer out, and you got to steam it off, and then you got to wipe it clean. Then you got to alcohol it clean so that it is work. So I don't want to hear people. Well, I never really had that problem. People never really complain about the price of the wine. They just complain really when it's gone. So just know that I'm doing better. I'm trying to produce more to meet the demand. But part of what makes it work is the scarcity. Okay. So now you guys know. So, Camilla, I wanted to come back to you, right? So with where we are as far as COVID and your events and you doing the virtual things, where do you see, like, because here's the thing. Ever since, kind of like, you know how you buy a new car, right? And then you start to see everybody with that car. It's like, now that I know Kitty and she's mobile bartending, I'm starting to see all of them pop up. Do you think like that's the future of bartending? Because a lot of establishments are closed.
I think so. And it's crazy because I taught a class years ago to a couple that was getting married, and that young lady is now a bartender, but she asked me for some insight and feedback, and she's doing really well. But I do see it a lot. When I started, like I said, when Darnell told me that's the lane I need to be in, I'm like, no way, never heard of it. But I see a lot of it now. It's great too, because I still learn so much from everybody, especially with the COVID. If you're having intimate events, you know, where you have to be inside, I would suggest having a bartender just so that you could delegate and properly serve your guests without them falling out drunk or having any accidents. So I think that's the move, like moving forward. I think it's just going to go up.
So quick question before I have a question for Sean, but the tips, is there a big difference in tips, or is like, because here's why I'm asking, right? I want to make sure that people understand the etiquette when they hire a mobile bartender. Like for me, people always say, Shannon, you go too far with the tips. And I'm like, it's no such thing. Like, I'm not rich, but I also understand that, you know, people don't make a lot of money in those service style industries, and they rely heavily on their tips to make it. So for me, I'm in the area anywhere from 20 to 40% when I tip consistently. I don't care if it's breakfast and at the, you know what I mean, at a corner. Like, if I sit down and you're serving me, the tip is going to be, for me, starting at least 20%. And the only way you'll get 20 is if you just not doing well at your job. You know what I mean? But I'm still going to give the 20, but I like to tip upwards of 30, 40%. I'm asking because I want people to understand the etiquette when they hire a mobile bartender. Now, is it me as the person who hired you that should be responsible for the tip, or can people tip you with cash or digitally?
Well, me personally, I think with any line of services, you should tip. With the mobile bartending, I guess it's not really required. It is definitely appreciated. All of my events that I do, if I don't make well enough tips from the guests, the clients that do hire me, they always throw something on top. So it's just an appreciation piece. But I think, me personally, I would suggest you tip. Most of the events, and especially in Philly or PA, all the events that mobile bartenders do would be open bar. So if your guests are not paying for any drinks, I feel like it is appropriate and definitely recommended to provide a nice tip. You're getting free drinks for multiple hours. And as far as cash and digital, I receive both, which I appreciate. Just a couple days ago, I did an event the day before, and the next morning I had Cash App tips coming in. So bartenders do appreciate your tips, guys.
All right, two more things before I move on. First thing, what's the biggest tip you've ever received?
So shout out to, and he may or may not be watching, my very good client from DC. So summer times, he has a huge event. I met him at a birthday party 3 years ago, and all he wanted was just a shot of Henny. And I think he had 3 of those. He tipped me $100. An event that I had a couple months ago from a client that I've had for 5 years. One of their guests came in. He said, "Gentlemen, I'm going to show you how to tip." He put two $50 bills down, asked for one drink, and then left. So
Wow.
those are the memorable ones. But
Yeah,
you
that
know,
was some boss ass shit right there.
yeah,
Right.
it's just one drink,
God damn.
$50 bills and bounce. I'm like, hey, like,
That's great.
yes,
That is
it was
great.
a good night.
Yeah, oh, for sure. So the last thing, and then we can move on from that. For me personally, like I said, I like the tip, but what are some of the things you like that are frowned upon, like for mobile bartenders? Like if people ever like get in a little bit into that.
Well, from the guest perspective or from the bartender?
No, from the guest perspective, like no, from like your perspective, like what
Okay.
shouldn't get like stuff guests shouldn't be doing. That's just poor taste.
Okay, well, one,
Got to educate
for
people.
sure, stay from behind the bar. Like that's our space. And me, since I have my own custom bar, I know where I put things and mixers and herbs and spices. I don't like people in my space. I don't like people touching. I don't like people reaching. So, just always stay ahead of me. I'm going to get you. Yes. So that's probably the number one. When the bar's, well, actually you should never be behind the bar.
They hired you for a reason, right?
Yes. Yes,
Wait.
exactly.
I told you, I'm feeling myself like I lost my lighter. Who was behind your bar? Who was the last person behind your bar?
You.
Who
I let
poured-
that slide because, I was like, okay, this is the man right here. It's the man right here. He did a pass. Yes.
I appreciate that. So,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, just to recap really quick, please.
Stay from that bar.
Stay from behind that. Look, don't come side eyeing me.
Yes.
I was behind the bar and I poured my own drink.
I don't go behind the bar.
Yeah, he knows better. Like, because then if something comes up missing, then I'm like, wait a minute. I remember John was behind the bar. No. Yes.
All right,
so allow us to have our space.
So recap, please, ladies and gentlemen, stay from behind the bar. She is an expert at what she does. The people who put the event on hired her because of her talent and her skill set. She doesn't need your help. Stay from behind the bar. And please, 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 tip. That's the last question. One more question. What is, all right, for open bar and if you were in an establishment, what is the general acceptable tip? Like, is it per drink or is it per order? I always wanted to ask that question. Like, what's that threshold? Is like where you're not offended? I mean, I guess it's all appreciated. Don't get me wrong. It's all appreciated, right? But
yes,
like for somebody like me, and I think I overcompensate, you know what I mean? Because I want to over tip because I don't want to be looked at as a cheapskate or plus I know if you tip well, I found that out early on in my life. If you tip really well, when you walk back up to that bar,
I already know. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
They will make sure you are taking care.
That's the tone early.
Right. Exactly, Sean.
Yeah.
So for me, what I normally try to do is if I walk up and it's 2 double shots of Henny, a Corona and a glass of wine, and I might be buying drink because what me and my friends did do when we did go out, each one of us was responsible for a round, right? So it may be 8 of us. I get all 8 of the drinks for everybody. That might come up to like, you know what I mean, a $1.25, $1.50, something like that. So my tip is like round up to the next 100. So I'm just hand over 200 and be done with it, right? So is it a per drink thing? Is it a per total of the tab and looking at the percentages?
With the open bar for mobile bartending, I don't think there's a set price. Obviously, it's great when you get something, but typically, from my experience, people will pay ahead. So if the event is for 4 hours and they're like, hey, we're going to be here for some time, let me just give you $25. I'm going to be fine with that. And if everyone follows suit, that's even better, especially when it's like 25 people.
Oh,
So
that's a
it
good
all
night. I just
depends.
did that
Yes,
math quick. I just did
yes,
that math quick.
yes. So I appreciate those who do that. The standard really is from my recent events, if someone has a few drinks, they'll tip $5 to $10. But then you have some people who just want to get it out the way, and then you have some people that do really well. Like I said, it drop, two 20s or a $50 bill, or sometimes 100, and that covers them for the rest of the night. But anything
Hey,
is appreciated that is zero, because you have some people that come and they come more than the people that tip, and they don't leave anything. So,
uh, that sucks.
but
Sean,
we still treat them with respect.
right, because you're a
Yes,
professional, but
Professional,
yes,
people,
right, right.
please, please, please make sure you guys are tipping adequately, and it's just about a show of appreciation. You know what I mean? Especially in these times now where she's literally putting her life on the line. You know what I mean? Show some appreciation. So, Sean, coming to you, right? I'm asking this question, and I don't want it, I'm not trying to diss anybody or anything like that, but I just wanted to know some of your favorite Black-owned spirits that you've had the opportunity to try and that you would recommend, because we're coming up on the holiday season. I want you to suggest some Black-owned spirits, maybe wine and or beer. And then Kitty, I'm going to come back to you, and you're going to kind of get us in the mood for some holiday cocktails, all right? So,
okay.
Sean, who are you out there like really enjoying as far as spirit-wise, and from the Black spirit makers and wine makers and beer makers?
Good question. You mentioned Stevens earlier. LS Cream was one of the first brands that I discovered and tried. Very, very good. And I'm not a big liqueur person. If you're not familiar, or for the audience out there, LS Cream is a Haitian cream liqueur. It's based off of cremas. Cremas is like a holiday cocktail in the Haitian community. Sort of like a lot of people hear about coquito, which is Puerto Rican. So similar type of idea, not the same ingredients or anything, but LS Cream, they figured out a way to make a liqueur out of it, and it tastes great. It's really balanced. You can do the holiday cocktail thing with it, but you can also do like the summertime cocktail thing, which is what I did when I discovered it back then. Very, very good. 10-1 rum, which has been doing really well this year, is a really, really, really good rum. They have a light and a dark. It's kind of like a sipping rum to me. It's fantastic. I just tried something really good. Well, before the summer was over, I had La Fête du Rosé, which is a rosé. There's a guy who actually he used to work at Hennessy, he worked at Ace of Spades, he worked at all the big, champagne houses. And he decided to branch off and start his own rosé. La Fête du Rosé tastes really great. Antio, which I just tried for the first time this week, is really good. It's reposado. Ace tequilas are my favorite. Ace tequilas are the thing right now. 1942, Don Julio, all those things are kind of like the go-to tequilas for people. And there's a lot of options. You don't have to just drink something like that. You have brands like Antio. You have even some cognacs out there that are really good. There's one I just discovered called Revente. It's based out in Georgia and Atlanta area. That's really good as well. So yeah, I mean, I think there's something for everybody. H Bespoke out of New York. It's like the Harlem Haberdashery Fashion House. They have spirits. They have a rum, a gin, and a vodka. So they have a really good gin. You mentioned gin earlier when you did the cocktail. And they have I like their gin because it's an American style gin, but they use like the London dry, like botanicals. So
Okay.
it's Blue Coat is kind of not, it's kind of similar to how Blue Coat tastes.
Okay.
So yeah, and it tastes really great. So yeah, I mean, there's good stuff all over the place, and that's kind of the idea is like we just got to know about it. And beer, I think one of my goals is to include beer in my subscription at one point. I was actually talking with, there are some guys in Philly who are starting a brewery. It's called Two Locals. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Black is Beautiful initiative that happened this year among the whole world. It was started out by a brewery in Texas, but there's some breweries in Pennsylvania that kind of got involved with it. Harris Family in Harrisburg, Two Locals out here. Two Locals puts out some good stuff. They're kind of doing it before the brewery opened. So they're kind of, making some things, partnering up with different places around the area. So yeah, I mean, there's stuff everywhere. Montclair Brewery in Jersey is they have some good stuff too.
So, is anybody out there right now doing anything currently specifically geared towards the holiday season? Like maybe like a special run of something or another that they're strictly running?
Not that I've seen, but I think that's a good idea. Not that I've seen though. I think one of the things I've noticed about a lot of the brands is, it's not just me who's been kind of, though nobody's doing an initiative quite like I am, much like you're doing this podcast, you're having me on, or you've had other brands on. People are championing these brands this year. So people are kind of having their most successful years ever this year, which is crazy to say, but that's kind of what's been going on with, being able to order online and do things like that. So people are kind of just catching up to what the possibilities are when it comes to that. But I definitely see something like that happening in the future. I know there are certain brands that are putting out new variants of things. Like 10 to 1 is putting out like a 17-year-old age rum. They just released it this week. That's going to be really good, I'm sure. I mean, you have celebrities that are diving in more. LeBron James and his people just put out a tequila last week. And I don't like to talk about the celebrity brands as much, but I haven't seen LeBron and his team do anything that wasn't top notch. So I'm looking forward to trying that out.
No, you're right. And I think part of the reason why we're kind of going through somewhat of a renaissance when it comes to Black-owned everything is because, if I'm being honest, I think a lot of that white guilt is kicking in because of what's going on in the country, and they're finally getting to see a lot of what's been happening and a lot of what we've been saying has been happening, but with the advent of cameras and everything being caught on tape. And I know part of it is guilt, but I think what's happening is everybody wants to buy black right now, right? Even our own people. It's a sense of pride in our community right now where we say, wait a minute, if there's an alternative, we don't have to, buy elsewhere and we can spend the money in our community, I'd rather us do that, right? And so I think that's part of the reason why when people are launching brands is because everybody wants to have that experience. And they want to be open about it. Whereas a lot of times they wanted the culture, they took the culture. They wanted to participate and be in the culture. And that's exactly what they did. But now I think, we as a people are reestablishing a great sense of pride in each other. And I just hope that trend continues and we continue to find a way to support each other. Because like I said earlier, Sean, I think it's imperative what you do. I'm kind of mad I didn't think of it myself because Camilla and I have been friends for a while. And, her husband, of course, I met him first, Darnell. He's a photographer. I shouldn't say he's just a photographer. He's a great photographer. And every time there's a photography job or something that comes up on Facebook, or when I'm in the mood to go ham about, people need to be spending black, I recommend, the people I know who I know do great work because I have a sense of pride with them. And the more they elevate in our community, the more they're able to elevate others in the community, because we have to stop looking at it like, if Camilla is making all this money, she's going to take the money and run. No, what she's going to do is continue to grow her business. In order for her to grow her business, she has to hire employees. I would hope that she's going to hire, people in the community. And there she just elevated, exactly. And now you can't look at it like, she's balling, she lived. No, people work hard to get where they are. But the important thing is they take people Camilla or Darnell owe me nothing, bro. Nothing. And the things they've done for my wine up until this point, it's like they have a stake in it and they don't own any part of it. And they're just like, no, this is great. We love it. People should know, what can we do to help? Like Darnell just sent me random pictures of my wine and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is incredible. Like I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, I just booked the Hollywood marketing company to do what they're doing. And I say that to say they don't owe me anything. They're elevating me just because they like the product, and it's not like
Love.
it's love, and that's what it boils down to, love. Like Darnell will tell you, I called, I was doing some type of event, and I called him last year, like, bro, you got to call me. Darnell sat on the phone with me for like an hour, bro. As a photographer, as a husband with kids, nobody really has an hour to sit and talk to somebody anymore, right? Darnell talked to me for like an hour about, bro, this is what you, and it was an entertainment thing. It was a concert or something I was putting on, and he talked to me for like an hour. He gave me all the advice in the world. He didn't have to do that. I say that to say, let's start doing more of that, because each one teach one. If we educate and elevate each other, everybody's station in life would rise. And I always tell people, we cannot make meaningful difference in this war. And I hate to even refer to it as a war, without a war chest, though. You have to have finance. Like, nobody wins the war with no money.
That's true.
If you broke, you cannot win the war. So for me, and I don't want to get into war talk, but I'm just saying, as a people, Sean, you didn't know me from a can of paint. My wine was on your page, right?
Well, and to see, the thing is, what you're saying is exactly how I felt too, right? So I actually, I come from a marketing background. I went to school for that. Besides just, wanting to do this, I wanted to do some research, right? So I actually dove down, did some market research, got the numbers. Everybody talks about our spending power. It's no lie. Like, they don't pull those numbers out of thin air. The Black community's buying power is it's estimated right now in 2020 to be $1.4 trillion. Like, that's more than a lot of developed countries, right?
Yeah.
So if we, even a quarter of that, if we actually circulated that amongst our community, it would make a lot of difference. So I'm happy this year that, the spotlight's on. And when I decided to start the business, I was like, I literally came up with the idea probably like April or May, and I didn't release it till November because it took that much time to kind of figure out a lot of the complexities with it. Spirits is very complex, wine, all that stuff. Getting it out there, all those things is complex, right? But also, it's just making sure that it makes sense, right? So there's a lot of the idea was, we're talking about Black-owned businesses in May and June. Are we going to keep talking about them in November and December? And that was the idea of the subscription part, where it's like, all right, let's make sure that people remember this, because it's great. I mean, look, there's a lot of great wine and spirits brands and beer brands out there. The idea is not to replace everything. It will be great, but we're noticing that people have room in their bars for everything, in their home bars, when they go out. There's room for everything. There's a lot of great brands. I want to put a spotlight on Black-owned brands. One, because they're Black, but two, because they're great. Like, people are actually making great products. It's not just, people just going in their basement and making something and in 5 minutes and not putting some thought into it. People, like, you explained your story. Like, you actually are passionate about it. You're putting out a quality product. It's creative. Nobody would know if you didn't do something like this. If you didn't have that passion. It's just like the craft beer and craft spirits boom that took place a few years ago. Same idea, just with our people as the demographic instead of just craft. So I hope it. I really think it's a good idea. Who knows? I don't know how I thought about it. It just happened. But things like that just happen sometimes. But I'm looking forward to where it can go. There's a lot. There's some bigger plans I have eventually that I hope it can morph into. But we'll see what happens.
All right. Right now, we're going to take a quick second. I have a brand new segment on the show. You guys may have seen her on the podcast that I did called The Session. But this time she's coming in to bring us stories from around the web, whether it's fun, entertaining, interesting, weird, flat out. We have a new segment called Myra with the Scoop. She has her own show, which will air on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. On the Facebook platform and the platform that I'm building, which I kind of just let the lid off. But Big Exclusive Media is coming. It's going to be a place where you can get Black-owned radio, podcasts, news and entertainment, as much as I can bring in, as fast as I can bring it. So I'm super excited to announce that one of the first people who are on the platform is Myra, and we're going to bring in Myra with the Scoop right about now.
So what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Myra Lansky, here on the BigExclusive podcast with another edition of Myra with the Scoop. I want to say shout out to my family, Connected Radio 215. What's up, y'all? With that being said, let's get right into the scoop. Actress Naya Rivera that passed away back in July. Her family is suing Ventura County and the Parks and Management in a wrongful death lawsuit, saying there was inadequate ropes and other things on the boat that she was on, and that's why her and her son, you know what I mean, her son ended up making it, but that's why she passed away. So I guess we'll see what happens with that lawsuit and whether or not anything comes forward or whether or not her family wins. But the next thing I'm going to talk about is the Vatican. So they want an explanation from Instagram. Apparently, the Pope's Instagram account ended up liking a Brazilian model's picture on Instagram. So they're trying to figure out what happened in the office and how the picture got liked and whether or not it was Instagram that did it or whether or not it was the Pope's people that did it. More than likely, it was probably the Pope's people that did it. So they're doing some crazy stuff, and they don't want to say they doing it though. Crazy. So you know how we going through the pandemic and people thinking of buying all this other stuff in the market. Well, this company called Aroboro Steak has come up with an idea for people to, I guess you could say, grow your own meat. So what you'd be doing is growing steaks from human DNA cells that you take. You would swab your mouth with a Q-tip and then combine these DNA cells with, I think, some blood, it says. So what happened was they did an experiment, and it's on display at the Franklin Institute for people to see. And they created these meat steaks that were made from human DNA. So it's some sort of kit. It's not for sale, but you can see it at the Franklin Institute. Well, you probably can't see it now because everybody in quarantine, but it's still something that is crazy that, you know, people are actually companies are actually starting to regrow meat or, I guess, regenerate meat from other cells and stuff like that. So I guess, you know, and from what they saying it's not really considered cannibalism. So I guess we'll wait and see if something like that comes to fruition or whatever, but I don't know. I'm not eating it. Anyway, you can let us know if you'll eat it though. Get with us at Myra with the Scoop on Instagram and Facebook. And we love to hear from you. Again, this is Myra Lansky on Myra with the Scoop on Big Exclusive Podcast. And shout out to Connected Radio. And see y'all later. Tune in on Wednesdays at 7 p.m.
And we are back. I gotta send a super shout out to Myra with the Scoop. Follow her on all social media at MyraWitDascoop. Myra with the Scoop. Here on the Big Exclusive Podcast. Make sure you follow her on social media and look out for her show Wednesday nights at 7 on Big Exclusive Media and the Real Big Exclusive YouTube page. All right, we are back. I gotta allow me to reintroduce my guest. We got Kitty on top, bartending services, and we have Sean McLeod from A Taste of the Culture. Before I get into the next thing, Sean, I really wanted you to get into what people can find on A Taste of the Culture website.
No, good question. A combination of things. So I have information about the subscription part of the business that we're doing. Again, every month, people have an opportunity they receive a wine or spirit in a box. They also receive a mixer. You get some recipes, suggested serves, and a home bar accessory. So depending on what I send you, you might get some champagne flutes, you might get a wine key, you might get a brandy snifter. It kind of depends. And that's the good thing about it, where, you know, I'm kind of putting this together myself. It's based off of what kind of brands work with what. I've been fortunate to discover some Black-owned mixers as well. So we're kind of finding a way to pair tequila with great mixers, or gin, or, you know, pairing wine with particular things. So that's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that. And then I also have a section where you can see a list, that part of the list that I compiled, and it's growing every day, of wine and spirits that are Black-owned. So that we have all of that on the site. I have some of my video reviews on the site as well, so you can check those out. But you have some more detailed information about the different wine and spirits that I've reviewed so far. And I definitely have a lot more coming down the pipe. A really good friend of mine's a really great video editor. He's edited all my videos, so I have about 5 or 6 that I'm waiting to publish out there. So of course I have to do one for Big Exclusive as well. So we'll get that worked
out. There it is. Boy, oh boy. I always say I'm remarkably blessed to have friends, especially the ones that I have. Again, I couldn't be in a more blessed position to know the people that I know. And to be honest with you, I forget, like, you know, I'm always in so many different circles. I'm in this circle with the wine. I'm in this circle with the natural skincare. I'm in this circle with the copper stills. But Sean, we're going to talk about that as well. Did you know I made copper stills as well?
I didn't know that. But that's
okay, all right.
To know.
Yeah, Big Exclusive Stills. I hate invoking his name, but like I want that Big Exclusive name on everything, like Trump had his shit on everything. Okay,
right.
Because maybe I could be president one day. I don't want that job, though. I'm bullshit, but I don't want that job. But I personally, I definitely appreciate you. You know what I mean, doing the video. And again, because I have a private reserve, I can get you a couple bottles for you to do the video on. Cool. And it never ends up where, because for me, I like to keep stuff around. I want to see how it tastes after a year, after 5 years. And I never get to do that because it just seems like when your friends call, it's hard for me to tell my friends no. Because they're just so good to me, you know what I mean?
Well, so they're the ones that got you where you are, right?
Right. So if Sean, if you hit me up in the week or two, I'm like, hey, like, you got is any chance you got this one in the stash? I'm gonna be like, yeah, yeah, Sean, you could get it.
Right.
Kitty the same way. She like, what you got? And I'm like, nothing.
Yes.
She like, no, what you got? I'm like, all right. Damn, I got it. But I appreciate that, man. I'll make sure I pull up on you and get you some bottles. Again, because it's the middle, like, let's give them the website one more time so they know where to go to check it out.
Sure. It's a tasteoftheculture.com. That's the Taste of the Culture on all your social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can actually sign up for your membership right there on our website or via the social network platforms. I'm doing a Black Friday sale, actually. I might as well mention that now, too. So from now through Friday, you're going to get 50% off your first month of what we call the Discover membership. So every month, again, you're going to get the Black-owned wine and spirit. You're going to get a mixer, some recipes, and a home bar accessory. So for Black Friday, if you buy it up until Friday, you get your first month for half off.
Very nice. You hear that? World premiere. That's the Big Exclusive. You know what I mean?
There you go. Hey,
Black Friday, 50% off, the Big Exclusive.
We have to make Black Friday black, man. You know, like it's we got to own it. So that's part of what we're trying to do here.
I just got a message that said the Illuminati is accepting applications. Ain't that a bitch? It's random, I know. I don't want to apply. Miss Kitty on Top Bartender Services, right?
Yes.
We are in full swing of the holiday season. And as a star tender, what are some of the cocktails and drinks that are traditional? And then give me that kitty twist that don't nobody else get that we should be trying or mixing or, different cocktails. Of course, the Big Exclusive wine is sold out. So I understand, everybody can't get that right now, but give us some holiday cocktails because Thanksgiving is this week.
Right.
What are we doing for Thanksgiving cocktail wise?
Well, the crazy thing is I have been using your wines for the holiday, especially the Concord. So definitely want to use this with some berries, some basil, and rosemary. So all of those ingredients pair well, and then a little bit of lemon. You can never go wrong with cranberries, pears, apples, which I'll be using tonight as well with your peach. But
shit.
Yes. You gotta bear with me though, because I still gotta get the stuff. But
okay, that's fine.
That I do like a warm sangria. So we do lots of bourbon, the apples and cinnamon, sparkling cider, Also eggnog, like we're huge
Classic.
fans of eggnog. So
Oh, yeah.
we do that with a nice black owned bourbon. You do some rum chata, some cinnamon nutmeg, and I add a little twist to it by crunching up some ginger snaps and just shaking that bad boy up and just rim it with the ginger snaps and throw some center sticks in there. So all stuff that you can find within reach, with the exception of some of the black bourbon. So that we have short for to help us out, figure out where we could get these black spirits.
We can definitely have.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm not a bartender by trade. I mean, I know a little things. I can make some nice cocktails, but one of the initiatives I'm trying to do with Taste of the Culture as well is find a way to uplift people like yourself. You know, people in the industry, whether they're sommeliers or bartenders, and you know, give you guys a platform. So we definitely have a conversation. We have a conversation to have, because that's one of the things I'm doing when I create the recipes for the box. It's great. I can create a recipe. I mean, it might be 3 or 4 ingredients, but I'm sure you could probably come up with something a lot more creative with some of these brands. So we definitely have to talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. Because I definitely need a membership too.
We'll get it worked out.
Yes.
All right, so I'm big on that as well. So, you know, Sean, I can see your wheels turning, and I know you got some other stuff coming down the pipe, and I'm sure we can all collaborate and you know, probably do something really nice, especially when we get on the other side of what's going on with this thing. Because I already have a few ideas myself. But before I continue, because Kitty, I'm coming back to you for some questions. But that hoodie you have on, bro, can you kind of stand up a little bit and let's
Sure.
Because that's a classic.
Yes.
That is are those available on the site?
So not anymore. So they were for a time. I'm debating whether I should continue to keep them available. I mean, you guys know what this logo looks like.
Yes.
So when I first created,
you didn't get in trouble with that?
I haven't, and I'm trying to avoid it.
Right.
I'm trying to avoid it before things get out of hand. But when I first came up with the idea for the business, I was like, man, for some reason I just cannot get a logo like this out of my head. And one of my other good friends is a really good graphic designer, so he made this logo. He made the logo I'm using now. He's made a lot of my graphics and ads and stuff. Ian Cross Designs. I'll give him a plug.
Say it one more time.
Ian Cross Designs.
Okay. All right.
Ian Cross Designs on all your social platforms. Yeah. So for some reason I just had this in my head. I was like, I want it to look like that. And when I saw it, I was like, man, it's awesome. And then I have another good friend that's a lawyer. I have a lot of good friends.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel good to be blessed that way, bro?
Oh man, it's great. I have a really good circle of people with all different skills. And my friend that's a lawyer was like, yeah, you know, because I'm in the process of getting a Taste of the Culture trademark. Like I really want to, you know, do it the right way and big business way. And he was like, yeah, you know, you're gonna run into trouble with that. Whether it's now or there's, you know, he's like, now, you know, you're not a millionaire, but when you get to that point, they're gonna come knocking. And I was like, yeah. So I've already made the decision to kind of, you know, make the switch to a different logo. But I think this is cool. We could talk. I can definitely get you on because I think it's cool. I think it's just one of those things. Like for whatever reason, this was in my mind when this logo was in my mind when I came up with the idea, and it worked. But you know, big business is behind the other logo. So
and onwards and upwards, and bro, I'm praying but for nothing but, you know, wealth and prosperity for you. And I hope we can collaborate and kind of help each other out in that way. Kitty, I just went and got something out there. So I told you we were going to talk about the stills, the big exclusive stills. So again, one thing always leads to another with me, right? So I go down these rabbit holes and I'm like, first of all, let me say this. I understand completely why the government is so hell-bent on them controlling the liquor industry. It's an insane amount of money, an insane profit margin based off the raw material it takes to make liquor. And again, I'm not going to say it's simple, but it really is like easy once you apply the principles and the knowledge. And what I wanted to get into, because some issues in me trying to get the distillery license right now. I'm working through it. I have, my attorney, Amanda Mazzoni out of Jersey. She's, taking care of a lot of that for me. But until then, I kind of wanted to get into the business, right? So I partnered with a master craftsman out of Massachusetts. Went up there, worked with him for like a week. And I came back with the ability and the skill and the knowledge on how to distill and how to make the copper stills. If you enter, the Appalachian style copper stills with the pot, the cap, the thumper, or doubler, some people call it, and then a condenser, you can get that at BigExclusiveStills.com. So with that being said, last year around this time, I decided to try my hand at bourbon. So this here, and Kitty, the reason I wanted to come back to you, this here is the result of that.
Wow.
Okay.
This is insanely strong, right? It needs to be, right now, it is a little under 170 proof.
Wow.
So it needs to be, it's rocket fuel at this point. So I need to cut this, but the reason, so this is, I used charred French oak chips, and this has been sitting, it's been sitting for a year straight. This is the first time it's been open live on the show. And it didn't blow up. But if I light a match near this thing, near this thing, it's over. And it's hot in this studio. It's hot in the studio right now.
Watch your eyebrows, yeah.
Right. But I say that to say, no one has had this before, right? And I have probably 6 of the small 1-gallon barrels aging right now. So I brought it up, and Kitty, I did this because I'm going to bring you some, because I want you to do something with it.
Oh, please, yes.
But I have to cut it first, okay? I can't give it to you like this. You're going to hurt yourself. It is too damn strong, okay? It is insane. Like, my nostrils are burning right now. Jesus Christ. But I say that to say,
you gotta give me a little bit of something before you cut it, though. I'm curious.
Just to try it,
to see how strong it is.
All right, that's then your wish is my command. I could definitely do that. But the reason I brought that up is because I want our people to get into the art of distilling. I think it's one of those things where we were a part of it a really long time ago. I think a lot of the staple brands, without mentioning any names, took a lot from what we were able to do, capitalized off of it, and we were relegated to the background, and we weren't able to capitalize off our hard work and some of the ideas we had behind distilling. So I want us to get back into it. Now, I understand distilling can be a very, very expensive business to get into, because what happens is, if you're making whiskey or bourbon, you have to go through an aging process. And in that aging process, it could take anywhere from, you can have very young ones. I think the youngest ones sometimes come out at 6 years. But you get in the range of 10 to 15 years before you're able to sell anything. And that's just not good business for a startup unless you have tons of capital to keep you afloat so you're able to sell. But there are spirits that we can get into that we can kind of distill and release right away. Vodka being one of them. Gin being another. Rum being another. Unless, of course, you want to spice it, then you have some aging time there. But for the most part, these are spirits that we can get in to market with right away. And I think, like Sean spoke to earlier, we just have to do what we normally do, and that's put our twist on it. So I'm inviting people that if you want to learn how to distill your own spirits, reach out, talk to me, inbox me, shoot me a message, email me at info@BigExclusive.com if you're interested in learning. But I think it's a very good craft to know, because if you own a still, a pot still or whatever, you can, number one, distill your own spirits, right? So you can get creative. It's things that haven't been attempted yet. It's somebody out there with the brand new idea that they didn't even know that they had, right? Because we all have spirits and drinks and all that stuff that we want, and we know it can be improved upon. We just don't know how to improve upon it, and that starts in the distilling or aging process. There's new woods out there that have yet to be discovered in certain parts of the Caribbean that we don't have access to, but maybe that could be the key to unlocking something brand new in the spirits market if we're able to import that, age in that, and then come up with something brand new. And it may not take 10 or 15 years. But I think the ideas out there, and we are creative enough as a people to get into distilling and understand that we are capable of doing it as long as we put forth the effort and the knowledge. Because there, like as in anything else, there is some work to it, but nothing in this world is free. And we all know that, we're capable of, working hard when we want to. So I want people to get into or get accustomed to the idea of distilling your own spirits. I plan on definitely coming out with a big exclusive vodka, distilled at least 5 times. I plan on coming out with a big exclusive gin, which is something that can be, brought to market right away. And the thing about gins for me is that juniper berry is just too damn strong. And I know that's what makes gin, but there are other botanicals out there that I think will be much more complementary to the juniper berry and not have it be so predominantly present in the final product, if you know what I mean. So Sean, you hit it on the head earlier when you made mention that, we are creative people, and, I put my twist on it, and I kind of want to work closely with you guys to kind of tell me yay or nay. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm in a rush to get to market, because I want to make sure I'm putting out, a good product, something new. And again, because it's not my primary source of income, it's not any rush for me to get to market. All of my stuff, I own, and I can kind of tinker around with and, take some ideas from you guys. And once again, or collaborate, Kitty, you're a bartender, you're at the final product, so you get to interact, right with the people, and they can kind of give you an idea of what's going on, or if it's good or if it's bad. Sean, you have access, to so many different brands that what people are looking for. You might have, flavor profile ideas, and I can actually distill. I have, fermenters and, a bunch of different things that, I feel like we can collaborate on and come up with something brand new, because I just think the market is ready for it. The big brands, I'm sure they have R&D, but I don't think they can get as creative as we can at this level.
I agree.
Right?
No, you're right. I mean, I can tell you somewhat from the other side that you're right. I mean, the thing about the big brands is, they have R&D and they have a lot of people, but they also have shareholders, right? So it's going to take things to get approved when it comes down to it. So I mean, if you have a copper still at your disposal, you want to be creative, just the same way you do with your wine, the people will tell you if it's good or not. You don't have to worry about the whole R&D process of it all, which could take over a year a lot of the times, at least. And I mean, everybody wants to try something new. I think is something I've noticed. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the collaboration and the idea.
Yes. So I just wanted, because no one's ever seen this. Nobody knew that, none of that stuff was on deck. But for me, I'm proud of it. You know what I mean? And what better two people to share it with on the podcast, the Happy Hour podcast, but you guys. So I'm gonna make sure you get it uncut
Yes.
at your
well,
own
just
risk,
a little bit
at your request.
yes.
Now,
Yes.
listen, I know your husband. Me and him good. If it put hair on your chest and he decide he want to divorce you,
you got to sign a waiver.
yeah, sign a waiver. Right? Sign a waiver. So, with that being said, we got 2 more major holidays coming up, Kitty. You got Christmas and you have New Year's. New Year's being one of the biggest drinking holidays of the year. It ends the year off right, starts the new year hungover. I got to say, since my daughters have been born, I have not attended a New Year's party. So it's been about 9 years since I've been to a New Year's party. I miss it in a way. In other ways, I really don't. I love bringing in New Year's with Kayla and Cameron. It's such a joy. We drink sparkling cider.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the tradition of my mom, I make a pot of black eyed peas. Don't laugh at me, but I always got to have the black eyed peas, and then I got to make sure all the laundry is done. There's no dirty clothes in the house, and you got to have cash in your pocket. Now, I did all of that shit last year, right? And 2020 ended up the way it ended up, okay? So this year, I'm going to take a flyer, okay? I'm going to take a flyer. I'm still going to make black eyed peas because I love them, but everything else I am not going to be too concerned about. But what are some, cocktail ideas and libations that we can have, number one, for Christmas, and then we'll move on to New Year's? Because, Sean, I'm going to come back to you because I want to know about some Black-owned champagne makers out there as well. So, Kitty, what do you got for me in the way of cocktails for Christmas and then for New Year's?
New Year's, I haven't thought that far off, but
no, that's okay.
I am doing a winter mojito, so I typically do that with like the cranberry, the pear. So I always try to put my twist on anything that I could get my hands on. So, the typical mojito with the club soda, the lime. We'll still do the lime, the sugar, all fresh. You'll do 100% pear juice if you don't have a juicer, because I usually juice my fruits for my cocktails. And then you would do some slight cranberry juice, throw some cranberries on there, lots of mint leaves, keep the spirit going. Like I said, as far as the New Year's, I haven't thought that far out. I've only done 2 New Year's events and they have been weddings, but champagne is always a good one. So you can bring it back to like a French 75 with the cognac and champagne, but you can also do like a evening mimosa. But I'll certainly get back to you on some other cocktails for the New Year's.
All right, I got two more questions before I jump back over to Sean. What's the weirdest drink somebody's ever ordered from you, and could you make it?
The weirdest drink, it just 2 things. They wanted Hennessy with, what was it? It was some kind of like cream base, not even cream base. No, it wasn't even that. I'm trying to remember. I've had some weird ones. This was the weirdest. I can't think offhand, but there's always people challenging me. Well, make something sweet, make something tart, make something with cognac. So I've been able to successfully do those. But I did have one guest. She wanted like a sour mix and a cream-based liqueur with. It was something I don't even think it was Hennessy, but it was in the glass. Weird. Yeah,
that does not sound good. Yeah,
right. It curdled in the glass.
Yes,
what's your favorite drink to make?
I like making my Long Islands because I do like Long Islands. I like putting twist on Moscow Mule, so I do tons of fruits. So it depends upon if you're doing it in the summer. We'll do peach and mango flavors. I do love a lot of mules. As far as the Long Islands, I use a little bit of Coke, a little bit of ginger ale, and I use pure sugar and lime versus like this sweet and sour mix that you get. So I try to keep it all natural flavors. And that's one good thing about being a mobile bartender. You can pretty much do whatever versus when you're working at a bar and you have to do it by the book.
So is there
So
a drink
Long
out there
Island.
you is there a drink out there that you like don't like making? Like that's just too simple, or you're just like, why do people order this? Like, does that drink exist?
No, I like whatever you like. I like.
You got to answer this for me too, and this I'm gonna go to Sean because I want you to get the stuff ready to make the big exclusive cocktail live on the show, right?
Okay.
But what the hell is a Tom Collins? Bro, I see that shit in TV and movies, and nobody ever knows what that is. What is a Tom Collins?
Made one. That's crazy. I've never made one.
I refuse to Google it. I refuse to Google because I'm thinking somebody playing a joke on me.
I know it.
If I Google it,
it's vodka based, and this is a this is a Tom Collins glass.
Right.
But I've never made one. But I know it is vodka based. It may have some lemon juice. I will have to look that up. I don't know offhand.
I think it's like a highball kind of, but with vodka.
Right, yeah, it's definitely vodka, maybe some lemon juice.
It's probably gross anyway. It's probably gross anyway. So
but
with that being
I'm
said,
not too big on vodka.
What? That's blasphemous. My first spirit coming out is going to be Big Exclusive vodka.
I mean, I'm still, but you know,
crazy.
I prefer.
I'm gonna do something crazy.
I prefer bourbon and rum. Like those are my two faves. And
it's funny because my favorite is vodka and cognac. I absolutely despise tequila, but that's Sean thing to age tequilas. It just shows you the diversity in what people. Tequila has never been kind to me. Okay, not ever.
I knew you were going to say that.
Listen, I am not RoboCop. I am not Rambo. I am not none of that. But that tequila is, bruh. Give me a nice cognac and a cigar, or a nice, vodka, a splash of pineapple juice. I'm good. Tequila.
I'll tell you this.
Tequila make my neck hot.
No, you probably had the wrong ones. I'll say that. There's tequila out there that tastes better than a cognac.
I bought Patron Silver, what is it, 1942, Don Julio. I done had some shit with a worm in it that tasted like dirt.
Oh yeah.
That probably wasn't tequila either.
Damn it.
We don't have so much time. I won't get into. We talked about a little earlier about the blue agave. I mean, there's a lot of rules that people don't follow when it comes to tequila. But I will say, just like when whiskey, when you age things longer, it becomes more mellow. It gets a lot of those flavors from the barrels. Yeah. That's why I like aged tequila, because I like whiskey. Whiskey's my favorite spirit. But I like everything. I kind of go through different phases, and tequila is kind of the one I'm focused on right now. I mean, there's tequilas out there that you age them 3.5 years. It tastes like a 10-year-old bourbon. Like it can be like that.
Oh,
that's you just got to know where to find them. I mean, and this is just beyond just black owned. Like I've been working in the business for a while, so I've been able to discover some cool stuff out there. But I think everybody has a bad tequila story, and it's unfortunate. I mean, I had to sell tequila for 6 years, so I learned, from experience, and then taught everyone else, like, hey, there's other ways to enjoy it. You don't have to just take a shot. Patron, not to name drop, Patron's cool, but it's definitely only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to tequila.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. So right quick, Killy. I called it Killy. Killy. That wine then kicked in.
It's that wine. No, he inhaled the bourbon. So
yeah.
That's what it was.
It's still here. Kitty, let's get the stuff. I'm gonna talk to Sean, get the stuff, and we're gonna make the big exclusive cocktail live on air before we run out of time. Sean and we're gonna talk about one, tequila while we're on the topic, but then we're gonna get into the black-owned champagne companies possible. So everything that I know of tequila, because anytime I think about something I want to drink, I get more. And Darnell has joined us. Mr. DSQ. Oh, you been here the whole time? So you heard me say the stuff gonna put hair on the chest?
And that your neck got hot.
Yeah, that damn tequila make my neck hot. But I get so interested in the process on how stuff is made, right? So again, trying to figure out why I'm not a fan of tequila. I know tequila can only be made with 100% blue agave. They cut that down, like they use those.
Well, it should be. It should be. That's part of the problem. Is that most of the time it's not.
Most people cut it, right? So I know I've seen people say that and then cut it with some other type of fermentable sugar, right?
Right.
But I know because blue agave is so hard to grow and it only grows in arid specific regions. Like they cut it down. They take those. It takes a long time. They take those big tools. They cut them down. And then what I didn't know, what I found very interesting, is that they roast that blue agave for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, they have these, and different brands do different things. Like some brands, they have like old school like clay ovens, and they roast them in there. Like agaves are like giant cactuses, right? Huge. Agave is like 7 foot wide, but they cut it down. They get the piña, it's called. It looks like kind of like I guess the best way to describe it, not quite a pineapple, but it's big. Like it looks like a.
No, that's pretty good description, because it looks like maybe you took a pineapple and you kind of sliced the edges a little bit so the white is exposed maybe a little, but it looks
exactly. Yeah. So some companies, they try to keep it craft, so they'll bake them in those like Dutch like clay ovens. Some companies are doing it like new age, like 2020, where they have like giant efficient ovens. I mean, there's different ways to do it. But I think what it comes down to, mostly the aging is a part of it, but the actual agave you use is a big part of it. There's Blue Weber agave, which a lot of the big popular brands use right now, Patron, Don Julio, some of the other ones out there. Some of the other brands for years, I mean, I think it's all about people's taste, right? Like consumers dictated it. Jose Cuervo was tequila everybody loved for a long time, and then people started discovering that I don't want to just take a shot, I want to sip it. And these other tequila brands were big down in Mexico. Like I remember I went to Mexico a few years ago, and you would think like you wonder what they drink. They drink Don Julio everywhere, like the Mexicans do. Like, you know what I mean? So that's the interesting part. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of brands. The tequila is like the spirit of this it right now. The Rock has a tequila. LeBron has tequila now. Jordan has tequila now. Like everybody's doing it. And what's cool about it is, I mean, there's a lot of variety now. Everybody's thankfully going into the good stuff where they're aging it for 6 months or up to 3 years. It tastes a lot better, and they're using good agave.
Yeah, but it makes me nervous, because it's like we already know that how hard the agave is to grow. Like and you talking what, 7 years before you can?
Yeah. Well, so there's different parts of Mexico where you can do it. There's different types of agave that grows in different heights. There's highland agave, which grows on like hills, and there's lowland agave that grows on like the plains. They also give different flavors. There's also certain brands that own distilleries. Not every brand owns a distillery. So I mean, just like in whiskey, people collaborate, or they'll sell things, or they let people use their distilleries. So you can grow the agave somewhere else, bring it, and and this is not even talking about mezcal, which is like a whole different thing, which is also something that I really like these days. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it kind of comes similar to how Scotch, where Scotch can only be made in Scotland. Right. Scotland's only but so big, and there's 1,000 distilleries in Scotland. I'm exaggerating, but there are a lot. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that develops, because I feel like every day there's a tequila coming out.
So let me ask you this, in my research, because when I got into distilling, I'm like, once I started to do my research and figured out, or how long some of this stuff would take before it was able to go to market, specific whiskeys have to be filtered, charcoal filtered. Each drop has to, and the aging process is like a huge deterrent. Have you heard about this gentleman who has like the nuclear ager, where he takes that that 10, 15-year process and does it in like 24 hours?
No, that sounds crazy.
Now, and here's
It's
the thing.
interesting.
Here's the thing. I said the same exact thing. Like, it's just no way. But legit, the the major alcohol companies are suing because he was listing his stuff under whiskey or under
Of course.
bourbon,
Yeah.
and they're like, wait a minute, that didn't age for 50, that didn't
Right.
go
Right.
go through the osmosis process of going in and out the wood and naturally heated, and you didn't lose a piece of that to the devil's cut that evaporated into thin air. And he's been winning like competitions with his I'm gonna send you some articles because I was so fascinated. Now here's the thing. I'm like, how do I get the technology? Right.
Right.
Listen, bro, if he's competing on the level with the major brands and he's beating them because of this, like, and it's not called nuclear aging, because I'm familiar with that too. When people take stuff in the microwave, heat it, drop it in the freezer, in a deep freezer, cool it, do the same, repeat that process.
Like the extremes. Yeah.
200 different times. And then there's another process called sonic aging, where they take
I've heard of that.
Yeah. So again, none of that stuff is competing with at the level that the majors are. And this guy is competing with them and he's winning. So I'm gonna send you some of those articles so you can take a look at that and let me know what you think. But again, I reached out to him like, hey, I see that you're licensing the technology, and I want to know, how I can get into license the technology. Needless to say, I don't have enough money or brand recognition to be able to lease the technology, because he's only leasing it for I think it's $5 million.
Jeez.
You can lease
I mean, he's going to upend the whole industry. I mean, who knows if anybody's actually paid for it yet? But I mean,
no, 5 companies have paid for it. 5.
Wow.
Because he was only doing 10 leases. Okay. 5 people had already licensed the technology.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning more about that. But I mean, there's a reason why the companies are suing. I mean, all the laws about whiskey and tequila and all that stuff are put in place because it's a moneymaker. It's the government made money. I've always been of the thought that the Depression ended because Prohibition ended, right? So it's important to our economic well-being, just like we talked about before. So it's in the company's best interest to make sure that somebody like this doesn't come along and completely change the whole industry.
Dude, I am a fan of that technology. I'm like, yo, you mean I can go to market? Like something that takes 15 years to age, he's doing it in this machine for 24 hours. And the way he described it, he's an engineer. He's not even a spirits maker. He's an engineer. Mm-hmm. And somehow the idea hit him when he was working on a deck, and he seen how weathered and beat up the deck was, and somehow, some way he understood that heat made it expand, cold made it contract, and alcohol gets the flavor and the tannins and the estrins from the wood, but it happens over years and years and years. And he's like, yo, how can I speed up this process? And this thing looks like, I want to call it a, those commercial ranges, but it has like all these lights and stuff. Whatever's going on the inside, you can't really see. But he's taking gallons and gallons of spirits he made that day, putting it through that machine for that 24 hours or however long he's putting it through. And the results are coming out that they're beating, traditional whiskeys and bourbons in taste tests, double blind taste tests. So that's pretty dope. I'm going to send you some stuff on that so you can check it out. I see we got Kitty back. She's getting ready to make the biggest. So wait. You didn't start. I seen you slapping stuff around. What's happening? Get us up to speed on, ladies and gentlemen, the Big Exclusive
It was the basil.
Okay. The Big Exclusive winter cocktail is what exactly?
Okay, so I have a bonus one too because I love,
it's my
love,
birthday. It's my
yes,
birthday.
I love the peach wine. So I mean, I had to incorporate it, and I know it's Tuesday, but still. So for this one, real quick, because this will be the quickest one to do, you do vanilla whiskey. And then, of course, your peach, because peaches and vanilla pair pretty well. And, you know, just quick and simple. Put a little rosemary. And because it's the holidays, we could throw a couple cranberries in there. So that's the quick one. One. There you go.
Nice.
Wait.
Mr. Barnes, like,
Just recap what was in that. Just recap. Darnell, slow down, bro. Slow down. No, listen. This is what we gonna do. We're gonna get your honest opinion. She's gonna tell us, recap what's in it real quick, so people know how to make it. Like some people like the technical items that a jigger and a half. I don't know bartender speak, but how many ounces of the vanilla? How many ounces?
So for the whiskey, I did 1.5 ounces, and I just eyeballed it. I do have a jigger. I'm gonna do that for the next one, and then I just balanced it off with the peach. Pair wise, vanilla and peach do pair pretty well, as well as rosemary. Now the cranberries, they don't add any flavor to it. It's just for decoration for this one. So this
All
is
right,
like
bring in
one
your
of his
husband.
favorites.
Bring in your husband.
Yes.
Bring in your husband. Darnell, come into frame.
Now I got to drink
pretty.
live on air.
Live on air. You got to give us your honest opinion right here, right now.
Well, I like that.
Oh, I like
and
that.
It's got a little kick to it, so it's not like you just
I like
sipping
that.
on something.
It's not a sweet. It's not a sweet,
Yeah,
but
because I get on there about like overly sweet drinks, and I'm like, nah, this is
just 1, 2 step, 1, 2, boom, boom.
And the funny thing is, you wouldn't think that this was wine. This tastes like a cocktail, like straight up like a cocktail with a mixer. So the big exclusive is more like mixer in this than it is like wine.
But you get twice the pow.
Ooh.
So now what is
oh,
this?
wait, sorry. I meant to throw some apples in there too, because we got to keep it fresh. So apples and cranberries. There you go.
And it's got a good look to it.
Yeah.
Like it does look really festive.
It looks great.
Yeah, so got the cranberries and the apples.
Yeah,
now,
make
this
sure
is the one that
Darnell, take a picture of that and shoot it to me. Don't break out your equipment, bro. Just use your phone, okay?
Pause.
He'll hit the studio.
Pause.
And he'll hit the studio, hit the lights, and frame it out. And no, I just want a picture so I could post up after the show. So what was that called? That was the big exclusive bonus. Like I'll come up with a name for it. That was the big exclusive bonus.
That's a pause on that name. The big exclusive bonus. Easy.
I'm about to give you this big exclusive bonus. So this one, I
Jesus
like,
Christ.
guys, gentlemen were talking. I've meddled some of the basil already. So
and we working on the big. This the big exclusive winner.
Yes.
Okay.
The winter cocktail. Okay. So we have our gin. This one will be 1 ounce. I'm using a jigger for this one, because now my hand a little shaky because I usually don't drink on Tuesdays.
Okay. It's happy hour. It's all good.
It's happy hour.
And of course, this is going to be like my go-to. Well, actually, all of them are, but this is the fall flavor that I like with the Concord because it has hints of berries in it. So we're going to actually complement that and do 1 ounce of that as well. Okay. Then we have fresh lemon juice. And that's about 1/2 ounce. You don't want to overpower it with the citrus.
Shake, shake, shake.
Yes.
Shake, shake, shake.
So you see how you have the basil in there. And I use a Tom Collins glass for this one because it's pretty. And you could do the same because I cut up some extra apples. You could throw that in there because apples are a nice fall fruit. And then you have your dried cranberries. Well, sorry, they're not dried. But
Ah, damn, that looked delicious.
It looks great. Yeah.
That looks delicious.
And we could do some more rosemary to just make it pretty. And since it's my drink, I could put my hands in it. Usually I do gloves, but it's my house, my drink. And
Hey,
so
look
you
at
have
that.
some of the basil in there.
There you go.
Oh, that
Cranberries.
is like the steak
Yes.
of cocktails.
And then
Look
some
at that.
apples. Yes.
What does it taste like? Let us know.
It's very crisp. So I use pink lady apples. It's so refreshing. It's very refreshing.
Yeah, I never even heard of pink lady apples.
Yes.
God damn it.
Yes. No, it's you have the granny apples, you have Macintosh, like
Yeah, I know
so
Honey Crisp,
I
Red
love using
Delicious.
Pink Lady. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sweet, it's crisp. Like this is it's just very refreshing, and you can taste the wine as well. Like I said, I tried to do both half and half with the gin and the wine. It's really good. Like I just love mixing things or just doing the wine straight. But this has been my go-to since I met you.
All right, let's bring your husband back in. Let him taste that live on air.
Here you go, Pooh.
Oh, you finna get me drunk.
Drunk.
I'm
Hey,
still
I
over
just
here
got the
drinking
picture of the
last one.
cocktail too. Thank you, bro. You got to take a picture of this one too, but give us your honest opinion.
All right, this is more on her speed as far as the bitters and things like that because I like a stronger drink. This one has a little tartness to it. What you put in?
It's apple. You probably get the tartness from the basil and the lemon.
Because it's got a little bit of mint, like a mojito type feel to it. Because I like a little bit of mint. It's just a little tart. What is that? Cranberry?
Yes, but you won't be able to taste the cranberry. You probably taste the.
All right, Darnell, don't drink it all. I need a picture.
Oh, I mean that's the.
Oh, I got a picture for you. Don't worry about it. I got the first one.
You told me to drink, bruh.
I wanted you to taste it. Don't you guzzling now? That's why you're gonna be drunk. You over there guzzling.
My bad. Drink it, don't drink it. Drink it, don't drink it.
So he says it's a little tart. I'm a fan of this, especially with gin. I never try to make gin too sweet.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's the difference between gin and whiskey.
Yeah.
That was the difference.
But yeah, I think it's the basil
Wow.
and the lemon.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just seen the Big Exclusive cocktails. Here's what I'm thinking now. I'm gonna put you to work. We're gonna do like 5 of them, and then we're gonna drop the recipes somewhere. We're gonna make them earn the recipes though. So if they listen to the podcast, they'll get this too, right? But the other 3 that we're gonna do for like we're gonna do like the fall classics. And then, next year summertime roll around, we're gonna do the summer classics for the cocktails.
Right, like the mango. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So with that being said, you know what I mean? I hope everybody is tuned in and they got to see the cocktail being made live on air. The show is coming to an end. We got 6 minutes. This kind of makes me sad because I'm liking happy hour. I'm enjoying you guys' company.
It's a lot of fun, yeah.
I'm definitely having a lot of fun, but we do have other work to do. My day never ends. The show has to, though. But as long as I can get you, I always do this with, guests that I like. If I can get you guys to commit to coming back live on air, so I have the tape. You gonna come back, Kitty?
Yes.
Sean, you gonna come back?
Yeah.
Where your husband at? Tell him get his drunk ass over here.
I'm coming back.
But listen, you know what my other passion was photography. So I got a show planned, and I'm, you coming on, right?
Yep, and I'm glad you gave the safe answer to your other passion.
He knows we had that conversation. Like it was one job that made me quit photography. I loved it so much, man, but it was one job and I'll tell that story on that episode of the podcast when Darnell comes and join me. But for right now, to my current guests. Any last words for our community out there listening right now? Ladies first.
Okay. As Shannon says, and Sean, buy Black. Like, I'm an advocate for just supporting Black businesses. So, like you said, whether it be services or products, just buy Black. We definitely need to do better.
Thank you,
For
Sean.
sure, for sure. Yeah, I definitely echo that. As I have throughout the podcast. Thank you for having me. Stay healthy, everyone. Too. I think. I mean, hopefully, you know, there's a lot of vaccine news out there. Hopefully, we're going to be on the other side of this thing at some point next year. But I think, you know, kudos to us, man. I think everybody's kind of finding a way to do what they can do this year. This year, I mean, for all accounts, has been one of the worst years ever. But a lot of people are coming out of it in a better side, right? I know I have. So I think,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, you know, we can be encouraged by what people are doing. Buy Black, check out A Taste of the Culture. I think not just for me, obviously, but for a lot of the Black-owned brands like BigExclusive, and like Kitty's bartending, because she's going to make some drinks for me. So
yes.
So I want to say, because I'd love to support my guests the way they support me. Kitty, I'll book tonight for the virtual event when we get off, and I can get out these hot ass lights and go get a breeze. I'm going to pay for that session tonight. Sean, I love that hoodie so much. Do you have it in black though?
Can I get it in black? Yeah, I can get it in black.
All right, so I'm going to hold off. You're going to give me the cost off air. I'm going to send you money. I'm going to send you money for 3 of them. So I can give to some folks who I'm sure love it, you know, as a giveaway, as a thank you for tuning in, and as a way for me to show you I appreciate you coming on the show. I look forward to doing this again with you guys. We are going to collaborate behind the scenes. I love this energy. I couldn't have asked for 2 better guests to come on and bless the Big Exclusive podcast with their presence. I wish both of you nothing but, you know, health, wealth, and prosperity from here on out. You know, Kitty, I'm looking forward to all the things that we have planned in the future. I appreciate you and your husband for always making sure that Big Exclusive Wine is a topic of conversation wherever you guys go. It has opened doors that I have yet to even fathom. You know what I mean? So I really super appreciate and love you guys for that. Sean, I appreciate your platform, and I thank you. And I'm going to make sure I do my part with promoting your platform as well. It already has paid dividends with, you know, you showing that love and putting that post up. So I hope that I can return the favor to you one day. For everybody out there listening, this has been the Big Exclusive Podcast. If you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe and like button. If you're on Facebook, hit the like and the share button and like the page. If you tuned in on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, I know I'm forgetting something that's not personal, but wherever you're listening, just do me a favor. Make sure you like the podcast. Leave a comment, and if you want to get in touch with, you know, any of my guests ever, you can always shoot me a message at info@thebepodcast.com. You can inbox me on Facebook at The Big E Show. YouTube, leave a comment. I always get them sent to my phone, or go to my website, thebepodcast.com. I am going to add A Taste of the Culture's website to the BE Podcast website. So if you want to subscribe and get his Black Friday deal, which is 50% off, his website will be available at the BE Podcast. As soon as I close out the show, I'm going to make that happen. So with that being said, it's been the Big Exclusive Podcast. I appreciate you, love you, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you.